There are seasons in life where silence screams louder than words, where stillness feels like a storm, and where the lack of movement can make you question your purpose. You've done everything in your power, put in the effort, stayed loyal to your vision, remained faithful in your intentions. You've sacrificed time, comfort, relationships, maybe even your peace, hoping for that one breakthrough that never seems to come. And in that deafening silence, doubt starts to whisper, is this worth it? Am I wasting my time? Should I let go and move on? That's the battlefield, the place where your faith is tested not in noise but in quiet, and it is there, in that sacred space of uncertainty, that you must learn the discipline of trusting the process. Trusting the process doesn't mean you sit idle. It doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent to life's challenges. No, it means you move forward with intention even when you can't see the full path. It means you choose to believe in the work you're putting in, even when the results don't show up on your timeline. You keep watering the ground, even when the soil looks dry. You keep planting seeds, even when there's no immediate sign of life. Because deep down, you know something is happening beneath the surface. Something you can't see yet, but something that's real. Growth doesn't happen on the surface. The tallest trees didn't start with visible strength. They began as buried seeds, hidden in darkness, covered in dirt, facing pressure. And the first sign of life wasn't a breakthrough into the sky. It was roots pushing deeper into the earth. Strength is formed downward before it shows upward, and if you try to reach higher before you grow deeper, you collapse. That's what the process is about. It's about building roots that can handle the weight of your calling. It's about developing the kind of inner strength that fame, success, or recognition can't give you, and trials, storms, or people can't take away. There's a temptation to rush the process because society glorifies speed. Fast fame, instant success, overnight sensations, but that's an illusion. Anything that comes quickly can leave just as fast. What's built fast often breaks easily, but when something is built slowly, with care, with pain, with sacrifice, that thing has staying power. When you trust the process, you're choosing long-term strength over short-term applause. You're choosing foundation over performance. You're choosing discipline over shortcuts. And let's be real, trusting the process hurts. It's uncomfortable because it asks you to keep walking when the path isn't clear. It demands perseverance when the reward isn't in sight. It pushes you to keep grinding when it seems like no one notices and nothing's changing. But here's the truth. Every step you take in silence, every hour you work when no one is watching, every tear you cry in private, it all matters. It's not wasted. It's not meaningless. It's building something inside of you that success can't replace. The process isn't about where you're going as much as it is about who you're becoming. You might want the promise now, but the promise without preparation becomes a burden. Imagine stepping into a position you prayed for but weren't prepared for. That's how people collapse under blessings they weren't ready to carry. You don't want a blessing you can't sustain. You want to be built in the dark so when the spotlight comes, your character doesn't fold. The process is what ensures that your success doesn't destroy you, but sometimes the process doesn't just delay, it disappoints, plans fall through, people walk away, doors that looked open slam shut. And you wonder, what did I do wrong? Sometimes nothing. Sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes delay is divine. What you thought you wanted wasn't good for you. What you thought was necessary was actually a distraction. What you thought was a failure was actually a redirection. You don't always see it in the moment, but hindsight always speaks with clarity. And when you trust the process, you stop fighting the things that are trying to shape you. One of the hardest parts of trusting the process is watching others succeed while you feel stuck. They're moving, they're celebrating, they're posting their wins, and you're over here fighting battles no one sees. But comparison is a killer. It robs you of peace, blurs your focus, and poisons your gratitude. Their process is not your process. Their pace is not your pace. Their lane is not your lane. You weren't designed to follow their map. You were built for your own journey, and what's meant for you won't miss you if you stay faithful in the waiting. Every setback you face is shaping you. Every delay you endure is deepening you. Every moment of stillness is sanctifying you. Don't waste your wilderness by complaining through it. Learn from it. Lean into it. Let it refine you, because when you come out of this season, you won't just have a story. You'll have scars that speak. Scars that say, I survived. Scars that say, I was faithful. Scars that say, the process didn't kill me, it crowned me. There's a sacredness to struggle. People see the glory, but they don't know the grind. They see the shine, but not the shadows you walked through to get there. And the most powerful people aren't the ones who avoided pain. They're the ones who made peace with it, who allowed the process to shape them, not shatter them, who let the pressure turn them into diamonds instead of dust. Trusting the process doesn't mean you don't feel. It doesn't mean you won't cry. It means you keep showing up even when you feel empty. It means you wake up and move forward even when you're scared. It means you refuse to quit just because the road is hard, because something deep in your spirit knows this isn't the end. This is a chapter, a moment, a step in the staircase. You're being prepared for what you prayed for. You might not have the stage yet, but are you stewarding the preparation? You might not have the answer yet, but are you still walking in obedience? You might not see the fruit, but are you still planting seeds? Because if you're faithful in the process, the promise will come. But if you forfeit the process, the promise can't stand. The process will make you question everything you thought you knew. It will strip you of pride. It will expose your motives. It will test your consistency, and that's the point, because you can't fake the process. You can't fake endurance. You can't fake faith. You either walk it or you don't. And if you stay the course, if you embrace the fire, if you keep walking when it's hard, when it's dark, when it's lonely, you will come out stronger, wiser, purer. No shortcut can replicate the character that's built in process. No applause can replace the peace of knowing you didn't skip steps, because when you've trusted the process, when you've walked through the fire, when you've stood your ground in silence, when the promise finally arrives, you're ready. You're rooted, you're real, and in the quiet, in the grind, in the waiting, you're becoming exactly who you were created to be. So don't despise the process. Don't rush the process. Don't curse it. Embrace it. Walk through it with courage, with patience, and with a spirit that says, no matter what I see, I know who I am becoming. That is the power of trust. That is the power of the process. You see, when the dust settles and the lights fade, all that's left is what you've become in the journey. You can't fake strength when life calls you to lift something heavy. You can't pretend to be patient when the clock is ticking and nothing is moving. And you can't imitate wisdom when it's time to make a decision that will change your future. That's why the process matters, because the process doesn't just give you a result. It gives you the ability to sustain what you were made to carry. It trains your mind, disciplines your spirit, and stabilizes your heart. There's a reason the process is often private, because God does his best work in the unseen. We live in a culture that rewards exposure. Show them your progress, show them your wins, prove that you're doing something. But God's process is different. He takes you behind the curtain, into obscurity, into solitude, into the quiet room where no one's clapping, no one's validating, and no one's confirming what you're doing. It's in that room that he reshapes you, strips away your need for approval, disconnects you from performance. He teaches you that who you are in the shadows is more important than who you pretend to be in the light. People want the crown but not the cross. They want success without sacrifice, reward without the resistance. But everything worthwhile will cost you something, and the deeper the calling, the heavier the cost. If you're going to rise higher, you've got to go deeper. You've got to be willing to carry weight that others refuse to pick up. You've got to let go of comfort, ego, entitlement. The process will always ask you to give up something in order to become someone. It will break parts of you that can't go where you're going, and if you resist it, you stay stuck. But if you surrender to it, you evolve. Transformation is never convenient. You don't grow in safe places. You don't develop in comfort zones. You grow in the stretch in that uncomfortable, painful, uncertain space where you have to dig deeper than you've ever gone before, where you have to hold on to your faith when nothing around you supports it, where you have to believe in your future even when your present feels like a prison. That's the testing ground. That's the furnace. That's where the old you dies and the real you is born. Don't misinterpret the silence. Don't think that just because nothing's happening that nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important parts of your life are being built when it looks like everything is still. The greatest lessons, the most powerful growth, the most significant breakthroughs, they don't always come with noise. They come with stillness, with struggle, with the kind of tension that makes you question whether you're doing the right thing. And that's the very sign that you're on the right path, because comfort never produces greatness. Resistance does. When you trust the process, you're not just trusting that things will work out. You're trusting that even the things that didn't work out were necessary, that even the betrayals, the delays, the failures, the losses, all of them served a purpose. That somehow, in the grand design, the pain you endured was a tool for your preparation, that the tears you cried were watering something inside you, that the nights you stayed up wondering why were the very nights God was preparing you for what's next. There's no wasted pain when you're being shaped by the process. It all gets used. Every scar becomes part of the design. People don't often see the process. They just see the product. They see the success, the stage, the smile, but they don't see the story. They don't see the nights you almost gave up, the moments you broke down in silence, the fear you had to face just to take one more step. But you see it. You remember you lived it. And that memory is sacred, because it reminds you of what you're made of how far you've come, of how deep you had to go just to stand where you are now. There will be people who doubt you, people who question your timing, your decisions, your vision. Let them speak, let them misunderstand, let them laugh, because when the process is finished, the results will speak for you. Your discipline will speak, your consistency will speak, your strength will speak. And those same people who questioned you will have no choice but to respect what you've become, not because you fought to prove them wrong, but because you trusted the process long enough to prove yourself right. One of the hardest things to do is to keep going when you don't know when the breakthrough is coming, to keep building when nothing's working, to keep believing when everything tells you it's over. But that's what separates winners from wishers. Faith from fantasy, grit from hype. Real growth doesn't need an audience. It just needs obedience. Obedience to the call. Obedience to the vision. Obedience to the inner voice that says, "This matters, don't quit." What you feed grows. And in the process, you've got to choose what to feed. Your fear or your faith, your insecurity or your identity, your doubt or your discipline. You've got to starve the voices that tell you it's too late, that you're not good enough, that it won't work. And you've got to feed the voice that reminds you why you started, that tells you you're built for this, that whispers in the dark, keep going. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of this. A version with more strength, more wisdom, more confidence. A version that's not shaken by people's opinions, not swayed by circumstances, not moved by setbacks. But you don't get there without process. You don't get there without days where you want to quit. You don't get there without nights where you cry yourself to sleep and wake up determined to try again. That version of you is forged in fire. Built through pain, born through perseverance, and every single challenge you face is a tool being used to shape that version into reality. You've got to stop seeing obstacles as enemies. Sometimes they're assignments. Sometimes that door was meant to close so you could build your own. Sometimes that person had to leave so you could stop leaning on their approval. Sometimes the job had to end so you could discover your calling. Don't curse what was actually your classroom. That situation didn't come to destroy you. It came to develop you, and if you keep seeing every setback as sabotage, you'll miss the upgrade hidden in the pain. Time doesn't heal you, truth does. The truth is that you are capable, that you are chosen, that you are called, that your value isn't tied to your visibility, that the delays don't define you, that your current place is not your permanent place. That what's inside of you is stronger than what's around you. That if you don't give up, you will make it. Maybe not in the way you pictured, maybe not on the timeline you planned, but you will make it. The process teaches you to walk by faith, not by sight, to move even when the map isn't clear, to trust even when the timeline doesn't match your expectation. That kind of trust isn't naive, it's powerful. Because it means you're grounded in something deeper than circumstances. It means you're not moved by every wave. You've become anchored, solid, unshaken, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Some people will think you're crazy for how long you're willing to wait, how hard you're willing to work, how committed you are to your vision. Let them. Greatness always looks strange to the average. Excellence always seems excessive to those who settle. But if you know what you were created for, if you've caught a glimpse of the promise, then stay in the process. Don't get distracted. Don't get desperate. Don't downgrade your destiny just to feel comfortable. Everything has a season, and if it's winter right now, don't panic. Winter isn't punishment, it's preparation. The roots grow deeper in winter, the soil rests, the environment shifts. Just because nothing is blooming doesn't mean nothing is growing. And when the season changes, and it will change, you won't just survive, you'll thrive, because you stayed faithful in the cold, because you didn't quit in the dark, because you trusted the process even when it didn't make sense. So don't rush your story, don't compare your timeline, don't chase someone else's version of success. Trust what's being built in you. Trust the strength you're gaining. Trust the lessons you're learning. Trust that nothing you've gone through is wasted. Trust the slow, painful, quiet, sacred grind of becoming. Because when the process is over, you won't just have success. You'll have the strength to carry it, the wisdom to manage it, and the heart to use it to bless others. That's why you stay. That's why you endure. That's why you rise again when life knocks you down, because you know the process isn't breaking you, it's building you, and when the promise comes, it won't just be a victory, it'll be a testimony of every step you took, every battle you faced, every time you chose to trust when you could have quit, and that is the kind of story that changes lives. So when it's all said and done, remember this, your process is proof. Proof that you didn't quit when it hurt. Proof that you kept showing up when no one was watching. Proof that your faith was real, not because it was easy, but because you held it when everything tried to take it from you. You didn't skip the struggle, and because of that, you earned the strength. You didn't beg for shortcuts, and because of that, you built character. You didn't surrender to fear, and because of that, you found purpose. The process didn't just change your life, it changed you, and now you're not just walking into your future, you're ready to carry it. So stand tall, breathe deep, and keep moving forward, because your best days are still ahead, and you've been built to handle them. Trust the process always.